Live from Western New York, it's Self-Advocacy in Action. Today's special guest is the Olmsted Center for Sites Marketing Director, Linda Wiecek. And now, here are the dynamic duo that will never die, BJ Stachio and Eric Christian.
Thank you very much, Eric. How are you doing today, Eric?
Good. How are you today, DJ?
Just fine. How are you today, Linda?
I'm doing great, thank you.
You mind if we ask you a few questions?
No, I'd love to. I'm very excited to be here.
Could I start with you describing exactly what the Olmsted Center is?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've been around in the community for over 100 years now, and we service the 8 counties of Western New York, helping people with visual disabilities adapt their lifestyle at home, work, school, play.
Now, could I ask you to describe a typical day working in the Olmsted Center?
Well, really, that depends on what job you're doing because we have so many different aspects of the Olmsted Center. For myself, a day is going out into the community and telling professionals and consumers about our services and making them more aware about what we do and educating them of our services. But we have rehabilitation teachers, orientation mobility instructors, social caseworkers, doctors, job coaches, employment specialists, computer technology specialists, you name it. There's all different kinds of days at the Olmsted Center.
Now, I understand your profession is OT. Am I correct in that? You started out as an OT?
Yeah, you know a little bit about me, definitely. Yeah.
How does that benefit you in your role as marketing, when you market?
Well, I kind of segued through different ways in my career. I started out with occupational therapy, and I transitioned to becoming a rehabilitation teacher, which is a teacher that goes out and helps people specializing their daily living skills due to vision. And after doing that for over 20 years, I guess I just became so well spoken on our agency and knowledgeable that now I go out and I'm able to speak on behalf of what we do and let others know.
Now, I'm wondering who started Olmsted?
Oh, you know, I apologize. I don't know the gentleman's name, the people's name, because it goes back to the 1900s, early 1900s, 1907, I believe it is. The Olmsted Center was renamed, though, several years back after Dr. Elizabeth Pierce Olmsted, who was the first female ophthalmologist in the area, and she was also a pilot. She was a very renowned woman in our community, and out of respect for what she contributed to those with vision problems, we named our agency after her.
What are some of the things you do in marketing? You know, do you market to the community?
Well, I let people know about our services, mainly about how to start services with us. We have a doctor, Dr. James Simmons, who's a low vision specialist. It's a very, very unique type of vision rehab that we provide that's not really out there in the community. Many people don't realize that when they see their ophthalmologist or their optician, that's all what's happening to them. They don't realize that they're able to have other services that can enhance their vision. Very often glasses aren't the end point. When they don't work, people don't realize that there's another thing out there to help them, and that's low vision. And so I go out in the community and I educate people about that so that they're aware to come to our facility when glasses don't work, not to think that it's an automatic, that it's not going to work.
Now, you said they come to your facility. Where is this facility located?
We're located right part of the Buffalo Medical Corridor at 1170 Main Street. It's about a block from High, where Buffalo General and Roswell Park are located, very close to the famous Anchor Bar. People also know that landmark, Main and Summer.
And what's the process when you go through the Olmsted Center? Basically, where does a person start and where do they hope to end up?
Okay, that's a really good question. And of course, everybody's program is very individually tailored, but initially you just call the Olmsted Center and anyone can do that. You don't need a physician to refer you. So if you have a neighbor, you can tell them about the Olmsted Center, or you yourself can just call. What we'll do then is bring you in. You'll be assessed by our nurse practitioner. She's actually going to look at functionally how you're doing. Are you able to do different tasks at home, and are you having problems due to it also emotionally? Do you feel you have anxiety due to your vision loss? Are you depressed because of it? Are you managing your medications properly? Do you have diabetes? Are you able to control that? That has an impact. And then she also refers to our low vision doctor. So after people see our nurse practitioner, they'll see our low vision doctor, and he's going to do assessment on your vision. And when he does that assessment on your vision, he's looking functionally. It's not like just reading the eye chart or looking at the back of the eye. It's saying, what do you want to do? What have you stopped being able to do because of your vision? Do you want to be able to read your mail, see the television, use computer devices? What is it that your goal is? And he's able to prescribe adaptive lenses, magnifiers, reduction of glare, all types of things to reach those goals. And from that point, we refer you to other programming in our facility. So maybe your goal was employment, and we'll refer you to one of our employment specialists. Or it was just to live independently at home, and we'll refer you to, like what I was before, a rehabilitation teacher. Or maybe you want to use public transportation or have services for counseling. So whatever your need base is after the doctor sees you, then we refer you not only to those skills but to outside skills in the community.
Now, you were saying some things that you guys have. I see you brought some stuff with you.
Yeah, I brought a little sampling of some of the adaptive aids that we have. This is just a nice little handheld magnifier that maybe you're going out to a restaurant or you're going out shopping for the holidays or for birthdays and you can't read prices any longer. So something like this could be prescribed. It's illuminated. It'll help you read properly a price out there in the community. Some of the other things, we have a store right at the Olmsted Center. That store is open from 8 o'clock in the morning till about 4:30 in the afternoon. Anybody in the community is welcome to come in. We accept all types of transactions, debit cards, charge cards, checks, cash. As a matter of fact, I've brought a nice little wallet along here just to show you. This wallet's a little bit unique. It's adapted to help people be a little bit more organized. So it has many compartments to it. The more compartments, the more you can sort things out. I know earlier today you generously donated. I think you gave me a donation for the Olmsted Center. No, just teasing. Here's some $5 bills in this slot. And then the next slot I'm able to separate my $10 bill. So I can find and locate things very easily. Shall I go on showing some of the devices?
Please.
Okay, this here's a really neat thing. This is very popular. It's a say when or a liquid level indicator. And this can work with hot or cold liquid so that you don't spill and burn yourself. As liquid rises, it actually will close a circuit that'll announce it. And we have a vibrating type or we have a whistling type. And I've brought the whistling type, so be prepared. It'll whistle and tell you to actually stop pouring. We also have different things that you can place on your computer screen. Perhaps you can't see the small keyboards that are letters on your keyboard. We're able to do that. Or we have adaptive software, Zoom Text, JAWS, all those types of things that we can teach you on. High-tech wise or low-tech, just something as simple as, oops, I've got a few things hidden in here, a talking calculator.
3 times 3 equal 9.
So it'll actually let you know if you're unable to see what your calculator, write things down, things of that nature. It'll tabulate it for you. Here's a nice little check writing guide if you want to be able to do your own little finances. This is a perfect way. It's a template so that you're able to write checks out. You can feel it and also see the contrast with the black background and writing checks independently. All these adaptive equipment pieces, like I said, are available but for purchase, but also people may qualify in some of the programming that we offer at the Olmsted Center. And if you qualify being legally blind and you have goals based on some of these devices, you may qualify for them to be provided. It all depends. This is a nice large print address book so that you're able to locate and find people as far as their addresses and calling them. And lastly, the last thing that I brought along, these are little safety treads. They're really nice, especially this time of year. We're here in the winter time, that when you're walking, very often you may not realize you're going to a different transaction of iciness or something of that nature. These grip on the very bottom. They fit on any shoe so that as you're walking, as it changes, you won't slip and fall. Those are just some of the devices we have, but we have so many there, high-tech and low-tech.
Now say a person with a visual impairment wanted to get a job and be a contributing member of society. Do you have job coaching as well?
Oh yeah, we do. We have everything from readiness training, which is where we actually actually hold groups, and we teach the basic skills for people as far as resume writing, interviewing skills, dressing for success, starting with those basic skills and then working all the way up through placement programs. And then we actually have a few programs, one of them called the Statler Center for Careers in Hospitality, which is an international program. And believe it or not, I think we've reached out to 4 countries and at thus far something like 42 states where people have come here to learn about dealing with customer service in the hospitality industry. And computerization really has made the playing field pretty level for people with visual disabilities. This program actually works with any disability. So we have people who have cerebral palsy, MS, all different types of disabilities come to this training program. It's about 10.5 weeks long. And we teach you the computer technology, mathematical skills, grammar writing skills to work in the hotel industry.
Now, going back to this, because I was wondering, is there a limit to how large or how small this will magnify?
That's actually an excellent question, Eric. The smaller the magnifier, the stronger the magnification. The larger the magnifier, the weaker. So very often when somebody has a significant visual loss, they have to work with something that's quite small, and they may only see 1 letter at a time or 2 letters at a time. But if we made it that they saw words at a time, 2 words at a time, and to fit it in a magnifier, it may not have the clarity for them. So yes, it does depend on the size, and the size really shows us the depth of prescription that the person has. The smaller, the stronger.
In your role in marketing, do you also educate the community on how important access is for people with visual impairments and other disabilities as well?
Yeah, actually I do some sensitivity training to people on that. One of the things that actually has taken off is dining in the dark, and I've done that with the medical community. I've actually done it with area ophthalmologists and opticians, and what I do is I actually provide occluders, and these occluders have different visual disorders like macular degeneration, glaucoma, retinitis pigmentosa, cataracts, simulating a visual disability, and then actually having them do everything from socializing, pouring their own glasses of wine with their visual disabilities to eating a meal, so that they're aware of actually perhaps what somebody with a visual disability is going through.
So, how did it basically this start?
What part?
The Olmsted Visual Disability Center?
It's been around for so long. It started with a few people in the community, and when it did start, it was I think a broom making company. It was taking some people with visual disabilities that were blind and making brooms for the community, and that grew into so many things. I've been there for 23 years, and I can tell you in that length of time we've done so many things. We have housing for the disabled in the community. We have 6 housing units for any disability. 4 of them are in Erie County and 2 of them are in Niagara County. They're wonderful housing units, all brand new built, all wheelchair accessible. We have the employment services. We have a preschool program. We have all types of things. So when it started, I don't think they ever knew it was going to transition into the really breadth and depth of all the services that we provide to the community.
Now, to go back to access, the question I asked you, I just remembered another one. Now, for me, it's very difficult for me to explain, to a restaurant owner what access means to me, like having tables separated a little more rather than on top of each other. Do you hear that from individuals who might have gone to a restaurant? Can you help me educate the restaurant owner or wherever on how important that is?
Well, I think the biggest thing is guide dogs. Just making certain that restaurants and public places allow access of all guide dogs. Very often, people who aren't educated in that, we have to speak on their behalf if they're unaware of that. Maybe the small mom and pop ownership who doesn't understand why suddenly a dog is allowed into their proprietary restaurant. Sometimes we have to advocate also in transportation issues for people. whenever somebody does need an avocation for it, though, we do try to do that for them. We have social workers. We have a team of specialists. So if it's a mobility issue, we'll have a mobility specialist help advocate for them. It's not just myself doing that. But yeah, we do sensitivity training also for people to make them more aware.
Now, going back to the question I asked earlier, could you tell us, like, a day of working with it for you?
For myself, okay, basically I am out in the community making contacts, as I did with your organization. I'm going out to every place that you can imagine, from nursing homes, educating the staff there so that many of our seniors have vision problems, and lots of times the staff doesn't understand their limitations, so I'm out there educating staff as such in that area. I'm going on radio and television shows. We're doing technological outreaches, things on Facebook, going out to professionals in the community, whether it's social workers. I belong to different alliances and advocacy groups, and I participate in these advocacy groups just to make people aware of our services so that everybody knows to come to the Olmsted Center if there's a visual problem, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel and figure out how to do things again for yourself. Come to the Olmsted Center. We'll help you solve those problems and figure out how to do things more successful.
Going back to your comment about guide dogs, I'm very interested in that. Would you mind telling us a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a visual disabilities, you can qualify for a guide dog. Initially, you need to be able to have cane travel skills for that. A guide dog is a pet. I mean, it is a dog when it's off harness. So people need to realize that they need to rely on their own skills first also. There are area schools that provide guide dog training. I used to know the exact amount, and I don't want to be misquoted, but an average guide dog is very expensive for these schools to actually train and provide to somebody. It's something like $30,000. I'm not really certain on it. But for a person to receive a guide dog, many schools it's free or as low as just $100. And when you go to these schools, you spend a month at the school, and you're taught how to use your guide dog, how to use public, private transportation, street crossings, all those types of things. And then you come back here, and we provide the support also. So we're providing the support prior to getting your guide dog, teaching you the mobility skills, how to cross an intersection, how to use public transportation, and then post your guide dog, reinforcing the skills that you've learned. But off harness, that dog is just a dog like every other dog out there. It can run, it can play, it can jump, do everything. On harness, it's really important not to acknowledge that dog, not to say hi to that dog. I can give a perfect example if you want to hear a funny story that happened to me.
Sure.
Working at the Olmsted Center, we had a staff member who had a guide dog, and another staff member who had friended this guide dog. And when a guide dog is in a place kind of a situation, they tie them down, and the staff member had tied down their guide dog to my chair, my desk chair. And this other staff member who broke the rule of friending the guide dog walked in the room. And this guide dog, even though on harness, because they broke the rule, was very excited to see the staff person and went running towards that staff person. And yes, I was seated on that chair.
So I take it you went for a ride with the dog.
I did, and that really only kind of shows you the importance of not acknowledging these guide dogs on harness, because had that person been walking that guide dog on harness across Main Street and maybe seen this other person, out of excitement would dangerously cross that person across the street. So when you see a guide dog, please don't pet it, don't acknowledge it, don't give it treats. If the owner of the dog can't see you doing those things, you're really doing harm to that relationship.
Now, how many people would you say you get every day on average?
Well, at the Olmsted Center, we see at our office, our clinic, about 12 people a day is the most we can fit, because our examination's very thorough. An initial evaluation's about 45 minutes long. That's a long time to spend with somebody. Most doctors don't spend 45 minutes with you. Our doctor does, because he wants to know the tasks you want to do and how to do them. So more than 12 people we can't do in a day.
Now, about the you talked about the Statler Center program. What kind of you help people place them in hotels.
Yeah. For the Statler Center, it's in the hotel industry, so we have relationships with all those hotels, the Hampton Inns, Hyatts, things of that nature. We also run contact centers. Every time you call the VA hospital, it's a blind and disabled person answering the phone in Buffalo and in Erie County. We run a contact center right at the Olmsted Center where we do doctor call confirmations. We hire disabled persons to do that on the computer systems. And we also just recently acquired 211. I'm not familiar, I don't know if you're familiar with what 211 is, but now the Olmsted Center has acquired that. Those are our employees, and we hope to grow that program, hiring more persons with disabilities.
Now, say you had someone who was a visual impairment and was interested in doing some other thing out in the community, like becoming a policeman. How would you help them out in doing that?
Well, actually, what we do is whatever their job skills is, we try to give them a placement situation so that they can actually see. And with that placement situation, we provide a job coach. So if somebody wants to work, in a law office or in a legal, a police office, or they want to be a medical secretary, whatever it is, we can provide job coaches along with that person so that we can help adapt the job to the needs that they need and make sure that it's adaptable and guide them properly.
So, to follow up on Eric's question, what are some of the requests that you've gotten that you've had difficulty honoring for jobs?
Well, I think probably my most fascinating client that I ever had that I worked with was a hairdresser, a totally blind hairdresser. She had lost her vision after being a cosmetologist already and wanted to maintain it, had owned her own shop. And it was like, okay, we're going to make this happen. And so through tactile labeling systems, auditory identifiers, and just organization skills, I'm proud to say 20 years later, she's still a hairdresser today, running her own shop and able to be that. I've had mechanics who wanted to maintain being mechanics. Right now I have a young man who has lost an arm and is totally blind, and he's rebuilding cars. Yeah, he's rebuilding cars. So it's all about the organizational skills and just the drive and the want to do it, and the ability. And having some prior knowledge doesn't hurt. I mean, I don't know how to rebuild cars, so I couldn't teach that part of it, but I can teach you how to organize your nuts and bolts.
That's good.
Going back to the guide dog, would you guys provide like a prescription to get a guide dog, or do you guys have like guide dogs they could get at the center?
Well, actually, we don't have, what we can do is we can help videotape. You have to provide a videotape for these schools. So we'll help maybe videotape that for you, and we'll help you maybe with the application process. If you have if you're a current client of ours, we'll help fill out the application. But the school themselves look at the videotape, they come out, they do the assessment. We can make the recommendation, but it's up to the school to do that. We really don't have the final say.
It must be tough for individuals who have guide dogs because they develop the attachment with the dogs after they unfortunately pass on. You give them counseling to get ready for the new dog and develop a relationship with the new dog if they choose to have one. What's the process for that? Does it take, for some people it takes longer, and what's the process? Have you heard any positive stories from that? And is there like more of an issue when they get the dog, more of an attachment?
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough thing as anybody, any pet owner going through that detachment would be. But what usually happens is when the dog starts to falter and not to be as able to perform, that dog goes into retirement. And the owner at that point in time has two choices. They can keep the dog as a retired dog and just make it a pet, and then it becomes a household pet, and they bring in a new guide dog working so that they're able to transition from working with their new guide dog and having their old retired guide dog as a pet. If they don't have the ability to keep that dog as a pet, very often people who puppy raise have the option of taking their dogs back. So that dog for 2 years prior to becoming a guide dog lived with a family and was learning how to become a guide dog. And so when that dog goes into retirement, that family also has an option of taking the dog back. And so very often it's a happy feeling because, you know, just like retirement for all of us will be happy, it does go to a happy point. When the dog does pass on, usually the transition occurs much better because you already have the replacement, the new lifestyle. But it's just, of course, it's normal sadness that occurs.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious now, would a guide dog start to become a guide dog as a puppy?
Actually, yeah, they're bred. They're bred to become guide dogs. They have certain dogs that they feel are good breeders for this type of temperament in a dog. And although I'm not an expert in guide dogs, I don't profess to be, these dogs who give good litters do so. So they have like 8 litters, B litters, so all the dogs in that litter are named Bartholomew, Benjamin, you know, all the same letter for each, you know, you can tell when they're in the same litter.
Would you mind giving us the contact information?
Well, we're sorry, but we gotta like cut it.
No, that's
right now,
fine.
so.
You know, if anybody else has any further questions about the services at the Olmsted Center, I'm more than happy to answer them. My name is Linda. I've been there for 23 years. I hope to be there another 23. You can call us at area code 716-882-1025 and just ask for Linda. Or if you're interested in services, ask for the Vision Clinic, and they'll hook you up with the services, start the programming, and look at what's available for you.
Thank you very much, Linda.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It was a true pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Self-Advocacy in Action. This is Eric Bazan speaking. Self-Advocacy in Action is a